This morning, we're following that shooting at East High School that left 2 staff members hurt. We've also learned the suspect took his own life.
This was the second shooting involving East High in just the past couple of months, and it's renewing a conversation about safety in schools as well as school resource officers. Mayor Hancock is joining us now this morning. Mayor, we appreciate your time. I want to start off by asking you about our cameras were there as you and Chief Thomas were having those really difficult conversations with parents outside of East High yesterday. What were they telling you, and will any of their feedback be applied to future safety protocol?
Well, first of all, good morning to you and Corey, Joey. Let me just say, Chief Thomas and I voluntarily walked over. No one summoned us. We decided it would be valuable to walk over to the parents and let them know what was happening. We knew they were already receiving updates, but we wanted to give them live updates and also to hear from them what their concerns. Obviously, we knew their concerns, but really, what they wanted us to know and to hear. And obviously and expectedly, they were very upset. They were irate. They were frustrated. And we get it. We wanted to listen to them, and we tried to listen to them as best we could. And we certainly understood their emotions and frustrations. We empathized with them.
Mayor Hancock, I know that you're a dad. I'm a mom, right? So this hits hard for us yesterday. And I know that you spoke to that yesterday, saying, as a parent, you're frustrated and angry too. What would you personally like to see moving forward in terms of keeping these students safe inside schools?
I appreciate that, Corey, because that's really the perspective we come at this. Number one, we're angry and we're upset as a member of the community that this is happening. And two, my kids went to that very high school. They're both graduates of East High School. And to imagine being a parent and knowing this sort of thing has happened not once, not twice, but 3 times, and as many as 5 times, the school's been on lockdown this year alone, this would not be okay. And so that's why we were able to really understand what the parents were going through yesterday. What I want them to know is that now that we have seen these chains of incidents occur, there's no way we continue to sit back and allow for just DPS to try to address this by themselves. They cannot. The society that we live in, where young people are getting their hands on guns, unfortunately, bringing them into our schools, beginning to impact the haven that students and faculty and staff out experience in those buildings is simply unacceptable and should never be the norm. And so we're going to go ahead and acquiesce to the superintendent's request. And in a difficult situation for him, and he's showing tremendous courage, saying to the board, this is no longer acceptable. I've asked Denver to put armed officers in their building, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it at East High School, and we're going to bring armed officers to the other high schools and do everything we can to keep our students and the faculty and staff in those buildings safe as well.
And Mayor Hancock, we want to ask because, of course, we're getting ready to elect a new mayor here in Denver. Hopefully, a lot of the candidates were paying close attention to how you were handling the situation yesterday. What is your advice for the next mayor in a situation like this? Well,
Joe, I think it's important to know that a couple of the candidates were there yesterday. They actually showed up at the press briefing. They were there with the parents. And I'm glad to see that, because they need to understand that this job is not just about ribbon cuttings and ceremonies and galas. I think many of them know that. The reality is that at times you've got to lean on very difficult issues, and you have to be prepared to show leadership in very difficult situations. Walking over to those parents and knowing you're going to be confronted, knowing it's going to be a tough situation. They want you to listen to them, and that's what we try to do. That's what this job entails in the most challenging times. And so I don't think any of them believe that this is rose-colored, are looking at this with rose-colored lenses. This is a tough job at times, and one in which leadership requires to show up at some very challenging times. And I think they'll know that. But we'll pass along to them the voluminous information necessary in terms of how we see things unfolding, and what tools we brought to bear, as well as other tools that may be available to them.
I can't imagine.
The transition.
Yeah, I can't imagine how hard that was and difficult it was for you to walk over to those parents yesterday after the shooting had just happened. It's very difficult conversations, and I know that your time is very limited, so we really appreciate you joining us this morning to talk about it.
Thank you both. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Hancock.